Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists. It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country. And this is the pendulum never lands in the middle problem I'm always about. Really, the choices we get here are either the worst version of crony capitalism or communism. Either a side deal for the Trump family every time he does business overseas, or the lady who says, impoverish the white middle class. Oh yeah, there's a great campaign slogan for you.
Meanwhile, Sean, New York's new socialist mayor, Zohran Mamdani, has got to work on his socialist revolution. Here is his new so-called equity director. It actually sounds quite racist, explaining that privately owned property would be treated more like communal property and whites would pay.
And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
And Sean, she's also said that private property and kind of especially home ownership is a weapon of white supremacy, masquerading as wealth-building public policy. What is going on in New York City?
I don't even know where to start with this. This is just, if I laugh, but it's actually sad and scary that he's actually trying to do some of this stuff. I was one of the ones that thought, okay, once he gets into office, he's going to abandon all of this ridiculousness. And clearly, that's not the case. I mean, economically, it's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. And I got a D in economics, Andrew. Like I could probably buy into a lot of things. This is so ridiculous. And to do it in New York City, the financial capital of the world, of the United States. I mean, like, this is what, like, all these Wall Street guys have got to be spinning. Every educator in New York City has got to be like, did we not teach the students anything at all? Because this is an indictment on the public school system that this woman thinks that this is a good idea. And then to your first point, talk about racist. I mean, if you flip this on its head and said, we're going to do the following to black people or brown people, people would be losing their minds. I cannot believe that there's not more outrage about this. It's funny how many things in America right now, the media and the left just sort of let go by. And this being probably in the top 5 things that have happened so far this year that have just gotten a pass in terms of issues that have been worthy of discussion.
Well, I think this is just one more example that the most anti-racist people are in fact the most racist people you could meet. They're not against racism in principle. They just think their side should be on top.
It's time for Media Meltdowns, and Zohran Mamdani has appeared on The View, which was a total love fest. Whoopi Goldberg gushes over the New York City mayor, which we'll play for you in a moment. But here is Zohran Mamdani doubling down on his calls to abolish ICE.
I want to know where you come down on abolishing ICE and if you believe that ICE has any legitimate law enforcement role.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist.
Yeah, it's federal law enforcement, and he also doesn't offer an alternative agency to enforce US immigration laws. Now, he was asked about some of the controversial appointments that he's made and some of the past statements from those people. One of them, for example, saying that home ownership was a weapon of white supremacy, and another person called to elect more communists. Here's Zohran Mamdani's response.
Some of your appointees have come under fire for past social media posts. This often happens when new administrations come in. Your new chief equity officer made several now deleted comments disparaging liberal white women. Your tenant advocate tweeted that home ownership was a weapon of white supremacy and called to elect more communists, among other posts. What message do you think this conveys to New Yorkers, and how would you push back on this?
So what I would say is that if you want to know my views or my opinions, you'll find them in my words as the mayor of New York City. And I am someone who's looking to make this a city that every New Yorker can afford.
He's so slippery. Didn't condemn those comments. He starts talking about his message, trying to make New York City more affordable. But we know his words. We know his past social media comments, and they're not great. And neither are his words right now, calling to abolish ICE. But Whoopi Goldberg, she cannot get enough of him. Just watch this as she claims that he's the person who will remake America.
You know, it's really nice to have you here. You make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, because it's important, you know. And you know, Joy has given you marching orders, and that's very important. Mm-hmm. But I just want to say, listen, if you can do what you say you can do, you will not only remake the city, but you may help remake the nation. Yeah. So